Hey there, fellow travelers. Mark here with Wolters World, and today we're here in New Orleans, Louisiana. What we have for you today are basically things you should know before you come to New Orleans so you can have a better time when you're here. Now, we have a lot of other videos out there. The don'ts of visiting New Orleans, the fun culture shocks of New Orleans, 5 things you love and hate about New Orleans, all kinds of stuff like that to help travelers know more. But this video is specifically for just kind of the nuts and bolts, Mark. I don't want the jokes. I don't want the stuff. I just want to know, what do I need to know about coming to New Orleans, okay? So we're going to start with that. First thing you probably want to know is, Mark, how do I get into town? How do I get here? Well, you're going to fly into Louis Armstrong International Airport, okay? It's MSY is the code for it. And if you're going to be flying in, pretty much all major carriers do come in here. Also, some of the low-cost carriers do fly into New Orleans because this is a big convention city. It's a big party city. A lot of fun stuff happens here. So you can get a lot of flights that come in here. Also, you can take the Amtrak train and the Amtrak stations downtown. So you have that. So there's trains and buses that get here. But I'm going to focus more on the airport, okay? So when you fly in, what you should know is the airport there is kind of small. I've found that I don't necessarily need the 3 hours beforehand to check in to get in through security and stuff like that because it's such a small airport. Now, if you're at Mardi Gras, that's going to be different, but it's not as hustle and bustle an airport that you think it would be for such a big city. So there is that. Now, when you want to come into town from the airport, you do have multiple options. There's taxis, there's public transport, there's stuff like that. There's Lyft and Uber, those things. I would say if it's just you or you and 2 people, you might just want to take a taxi in. And there's a taxi stand right when you come out of arrivals and you get your luggage and stuff like that. There's taxis right there. A lady asks where you're going to go, and then she writes down what the price is going to be, gives you a map of New Orleans right there, and puts you in the cab. Because the rates for the cabs going downtown from the airport, it's a set rate, okay? And when I compared the Lyft and Uber rates to the set rate that the taxis had, it was basically the same thing, okay? So I can walk out and just hop right in the taxi, or I can try to figure out where to meet my Uber driver. So we've just taken the taxi in to make it easier for ourselves. Now, if you're more than 2 people, what you should know is that set price is, for 1 or 2 people. If it's more than that, it's like $15 per person. Okay, so then it starts to add up. Then maybe you want to try the Uber or Lyft instead, okay? Now, if you're looking for transportation around the city, because you're going to explore stuff, okay? And if you're going to come out here to the Audubon Park or go to the zoo that's out here or go to the Garden District, you might want to take the streetcars that are here. There's 3 main lines. You got the St. Charles line streetcar. That's the one that goes to the Garden District here, the Audubon Park and stuff like that. You got the Canal line, the Canal streetcar. That goes out to the cemeteries and goes out to the city park. You have the Riverfront line. They'll go from Jackson Square along the riverfront, kind of self-explanatory. There's also public buses you can use. I prefer using the streetcars as a tourist to do that instead of other things, so you have that. But the thing is, if it's at nighttime, you're going to use Lyft and Uber. Don't worry about taxis. Don't worry about public transportation. Lyft and Uber everywhere, okay? You don't want to have to drive inside of New Orleans because driving in New Orleans is a pain in the butt, especially trying to find parking. And if you're going to be getting a hotel and you're going to be driving in, make sure they have parking and you're going to have to pay for that extra, okay? So have a heads up for that one. Now, if you are going to be using the public transportation, I do recommend getting the RTA Go Online app, and because that has the maps. It tells you where the buses are, where the streetcars are, stuff like that, so you can really know where things are and how long you have to wait. And you can buy your tickets through there instead of having to have correct change, which you need to have when you buy public transportation. So do just get the app to make your life so much easier. Just, I'm here, check in, you're good to go. It just makes life a lot easier. And it's called the Jazzy Pass, is the day pass. So you get a 1-day or 3-day or week-long pass kind of stuff. So just get some of those. That'll be really helpful when you are here. Now, in terms of other stuff, so we got past transportation and getting from the airport. You probably want to know is, Mark, where should we stay when we're there? Well, the thing is, there's a lot of different districts, okay? If you're going to be in the warehouse district, it's kind of by the convention center and down, where the cruises come in and stuff like that, there's a bunch of chain hotels there you can stay in, the tall chain hotels. You can do that. If you want to be more near Canal Street and going into the French Quarter, if you're right outside the French Quarter, you have a lot more, there's more chain hotels there you can stay at. If you want to stay inside the French Quarter, there's small, more boutique hotels. And I'm going to tell you, staying in the French Quarter is extremely loud. Okay, so if you like to enjoy sleeping, probably don't stay in the French Quarter. Stay right outside. You'll be fine, or at least stay a couple blocks off Bourbon Street to make your life a little bit easier, okay? Now, in terms of pricing for hotels, I find the prices in New Orleans to be a little bit above average prices during normal times of the year. However, there's a huge surge in pricing for a hotel accommodation and B&Bs and stuff like that when it comes to Mardi Gras, okay? So if you're gonna be coming for that time, expect to pay insane prices, all right? Now, when you're coming here, another thing people like to ask is like, Mark, what about safety? I've heard New Orleans isn't a really safe place. Should I be worried? Look, New Orleans does have issues. I'm not gonna lie to you about that, but it's not as bad as people talk about, all right? But having said that, some issues I think you'll see a lot of like beggars and kind of bums and stuff like that on the streets. They usually don't bother you. They might ask for money, like, no, and they'll like usually leave you alone, which is nice, because I mean, I know in Chicago, I'll say no, they just keep following you. Here it's like, all right, it's kind of chillax here. So you do have that. Do not leave anything of value. If you drive here, do not leave anything of value in your car. Take it with you to your hotel room or lock it in your trunk or something like that, because you don't want to have anything of value in your car that you might want to break in and get that. But probably as a tourist, especially as a male tourist, I would say fisticuffs on Bourbon Street at night where people are drinking and stuff like that, that's actually probably one of the biggest safety things I would look out for. Now, aside from the chain hotels and the boutique hotels, there are actually, bed and breakfasts that you can stay at here. There's, Airbnb kind of things, stuff like that. You can get those when you're here. Plenty of options available, so you're okay. The thing is if you're looking at what you should do when you come here, you need to realize New Orleans got a ton of stuff to do. It is not just the French Quarter. It has got the Garden District, it's got City Park, you go to swamp tours, all kinds of stuff. So as a tourist, what you should know is you can spend quite a few days here in New Orleans and exploring if you're looking for more family-friendly stuff. The Audubon Zoo is really great. That's right over there. You've got the Aquarium of the Americas, which is nice. Louisiana Children's Museum is nice. You have the World War II Museum. If you're going to go to one museum when you're here in New Orleans, that's the museum you go to. It is amazing. It's very moving as well, just to give you the heads up for that. And it is a little pricey and the line can be long, but it's worth it. Also, if you want to see some Mardi Gras stuff, there's Mardi Gras museums to check out those things. But one of the things I really love when I come here is to walk around and take in the architecture. So you might go to the Garden District and walk around there and see the buildings, or take a tour when you're there, or maybe take a walking tour when you're in the French Quarter to see all the architecture that's there. Going to the St. Louis Cathedral, Jackson Square, stuff like that. You have those things. There's just a lot of really nice stuff to see and do. You got the voodoo tours, you got the cemeteries, which are above ground. There's all kinds of really cool stuff to see. So you have plenty of things to see and do when you are here. And if you want to get out, if you're looking for like some day trip kind of stuff, getting to Baton Rouge isn't too far off. You want to go see where LSU is and stuff like that. Or if you want to take a swamp tour and go like on the fan boats or a pontoon boat and see some alligators, you can do those things, no problem, all right? Now, next thing people ask is, Mark, when should I go to New Orleans? Well, there's kind of 3 times I recommend not going to New Orleans. 1 and 2 are July. Well, 1 is July and 2 is August, because it's so hot and so humid here at those times. You're just going to be miserable. And with the bugs and stuff like that, it's just don't. Okay, you can come the rest of the year, like September through, early June, feel free to come. But man, July and August, I do not recommend coming. The other time I don't recommend coming, if you're not going to go to enjoy the Mardi Gras festivities, don't come to New Orleans during Mardi Gras if you don't want to kind of partake in those things, all right? But just also you should realize that Mardi Gras is not just, craziness. It's actually a family affair here, so you have lots of kids around and stuff like that, so there is that. Now, if you're looking at food when you come here, tons and tons of food here. I have a video like the 5 best things to eat here in New Orleans, and there's so much to eat. You have the gumbo and the crawfish etouffee. You've got oysters and char-grilled oysters on the half shell, oyster po' boy. Oh my gosh, they're so good. So many great things to eat here. To drinks, of course, you can have the Hurricane, which is, they're like, oh, it's touristy. But you know what? It's fruity. It's good. There's that. You can have a little bit fancier drink that's from here, Sazerac. Heck, you can have Barks root beer. That's from here. There's those things. They have local beers, Dixie beer and Abita beer. 2 ones you should try. Dixie's more of like a traditional kind of Pilsner lager kind of beer. And then Abita has a bunch of different beers you can try. I like their amber one personally. You have that. Oh, when you're here, one thing I recommend, they're going to give you water at all the restaurants you go to. And if they don't, just ask for it and just keep hydrating, because it's so hot here in the summer, and even other times of the year with the humidity, you need to stay hydrated. And especially if you're drinking alcohol, you want to make sure you're still drinking, water and stuff like that. Now, in terms of times, one thing I would say is the French Quarter is family friendly until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That's when a lot of the museums start to close and the sites start to close. It's kind of like, no, between 4 and 5 is that transition period in the French Quarter where it goes from family friendly to party time. Okay, so you have that. Now, when you are here and if you do want to go out, there's going to be a ton of live music. You do not have to pay a cover charge for live music on Bourbon Street, which is great. And there's a bunch of different options out there. If you want 70s and 80s rock, that's what I go listen to. So we can listen to Rock Box, at Fat Cats quite often. If you want like more hip hop stuff, they have that. If you want Zydeco, they have that too. So there's all kinds of great music to have when you're here. And the thing is, you'll see people playing on the streets, okay? And one thing I'd say is you're going to take pictures and videos of the kids playing the drums or people playing music. You might want to tip them just in case for that. But sometimes people just walk around in a little mini parade kind of thing, playing their music and stuff like that. It is really cool, okay? Now, if you want to do tours, there are plenty of agencies around town that will sign you up for tours. I usually recommend going through your hotel because if something goes wrong, you can complain to your hotel because you're spending a lot of money there. So they're probably going to make sure you don't get screwed over. But I don't really think you're going to have too much issues with that because one thing you should know, here in New Orleans, the people are super friendly, which is awesome. So if you have any issues or questions or you're lost, don't be ashamed to ask somebody. They'll be glad to help, okay? Now, some other things I want to talk about. One thing is you can pay with credit card in most places around here, but I notice if you're going to go to bars and stuff like that, I feel it's better to have cash when you are here because things get paid sooner, your credit card's away from you less. So I would have a heads up for that. So do have cash. There's plenty of ATMs around, so that's not a problem. It just sometimes you're going to feel uncomfortable getting money out of the ATM. So you might want to go during the day. And in some of the banks, their ATMs are actually inside the bank, not on the outside. So you can check out those things for that. So I think I should probably wrap things up with one thing you should know and one thing I got to remind you of. When you do come here to New Orleans, time works a bit differently when you are in New Orleans. It's, like they say, the big easy kind of thing. It's more of a big, easy, take your time kind of stuff. So you're going to need patience, whether you're waiting in line to get into a restaurant or you're waiting for your drinks or your food or the bill or to check in your hotel and things like that. You just have to take time, okay? Because really, everything will get done. It's not quite island time, but it is kind of a little bit slower here. So do have patience when you do come here. So I just want to give you that one. So I hope this helps you know a little bit more about what to know before you come to New Orleans. If you want to learn more, like I said, the don'ts, shocks, love and hates, 5 things to eat, the streetcar stuff. We got tons and tons of videos on New Orleans because we really love coming here. And so we love sharing this with our tourists. When they come here, they can enjoy it as well. So big thank you for watching. If you want to learn more, we're on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest, and we really appreciate your likes and subscriptions. And if you do click subscribe, don't forget to hit that notification bell. So every Wednesday and Saturday, you get notified of our new travel videos we put out every week. So wish you all the best, and a big thank you to all of our patrons on Patreon who help make videos like this possible. If you want to take part in our Patreon, go to patreon.com/WoltersWorld to find out more. Anyway, bye from New Orleans.